When I wore a dress out, my dad and mom would humiliate me, saying I was going out to sell myself. Before, having grown up under their oppressive upbringing, I would cry and run back to my room to change. But now, I can turn around, smile, and ask them back, Dad, what about you and Mom's best friend having a secret child together? Mom, what about you and Uncle Wang dancing in the square and then going to a hotel for 2 hours? They glared at each other, and then pots, pans, and dishes flew everywhere in the house. They lunged at each other, fighting. I smiled amidst the chaos, opened the door, and walked out. They didn't know I had been reborn, and I knew they were strategic players. All they needed was to push me to suicide so they could take my heart to save their daughter. This time, I wouldn't let them succeed. On a classmate's birthday, I wore a dress to the party. My dad sat in the living room, saw me, and asked coldly, "Where do you think you're going dressed like that?" I glanced at my outfit, a knee-length dress, the most ordinary style. I calmly replied, "It's a classmate's birthday today, they invited me to their party." As soon as I finished speaking, my dad grabbed an ashtray and threw it at me. "Go back to your room and change, you're dressed like you're selling yourself." You might not feel ashamed, but I do. My mom heard the commotion and emerged from the bedroom, applying lotion. Without looking at me, she waved her hand. "What kind of student dresses so provocatively? Listen to your dad and go change immediately." If this were before, tears would well up in my eyes, and my whole body would tremble as I ran back to change into my uniform. Because back then, I didn't know they were strategic players, intending to constantly oppress me until I committed suicide, so they could use my heart to save their daughter. Their daughter was the cousin who had lived with us since childhood. I once wondered when I had such a relative. I looked at my dad, whose belly looked like he was 8 months pregnant. "Min Tran, stop right there." I curled my lips into a smile. "In this life, I want them all to die because of me." I smiled politely and asked, "Dad, you say the dress I'm wearing is indecent. So, what about you having an affair with Mom's best friend and having a secret child?" The atmosphere froze. My dad's face changed color and my mom's hand paused mid-lotion application. The next second, she no longer cared about the expensive cream. She rushed over, grabbed my dad's collar, and demanded, "Ha Jun, is he telling the truth?" My dad gulped, feigning composure. "She's talking nonsense." He rolled up his sleeves, intending to hit me. "You slut, how dare you fabricate stories about your dad? You're so brave. Let's see if I beat you to death." I dodged aside and ran to my mom, angrily spilling the beans. "Mom, that lumber cream you bought last time isn't missing. Dad gave it to Aunt Shen. Even the ring you're wearing wasn't carefully chosen by Dad. It was a free gift when he bought a gold bracelet for Aunt Shen. If you don't believe me, go to the counter and check." My mom shrieked. She used to boast about her husband's gifts in front of her best friend, and now she understood the look of disdain in her friend's eyes, praising with her mouth but mocking with her eyes. She lunged and grabbed my dad's hair, hitting and scolding him. "At this age, you still have the nerve? Still having affairs?" My dad hugged my mom, urging her to calm down, to remember their purpose here, not to fall into my trap. Seeing my mom about to stop, I added fuel to the fire. "What?" I'll add another sentence. "Mom, you and Uncle Wang go to a hotel for 2 hours every time you finish dancing in the square. What do you do there?" My mom's hand froze in midair. For a long time, she couldn't say a word. She frantically denied, "That's not true. Lily, don't talk nonsense." My dad, who had been speechless, reacted immediately. He pointed a finger at my mom and cursed, "Oh, how wonderful, you still have the nerve to scold me? You yourself are sneaking around outside, you cheap woman. I wouldn't even touch you for free?" He puffed out his chest and pushed my mom to the ground. My mom was so furious that she disregarded their marriage, lunging at him to fight. Their venomous words, like knives, pierced straight into their most painful spots. My mom called my dad a coward who surrendered before the battle. My dad cursed my mom as a flirtatious woman. I calmly watched as the house quickly became a battlefield, picked up an umbrella by the door, and walked out. There was someone waiting for me, my dear cousin, Summer. She had conspired with others to set up a hangmen banquet, and I was here. When I was 15, our entire family was in a car accident. From then on, my dad and mom seemed to transform into different people. From understanding and reasonable, they became hot-tempered, controlling, establishing countless rules for me, humiliating me, forbidding me from making friends, from wearing nice clothes, from smiling at others. They even brought home a girl my age, saying she was a distant cousin with a heart condition, with no one to care for her, and that she would live with us from now on. The strict rules imposed on me did not apply to my cousin at all. When I reacted, they scolded me for being undisciplined, brainwashing me that an older sister must yield to her younger sister. The new house was for her, new clothes for her to wear first, meals cooked to her taste. In this house, I would forever stand behind her. In my previous life, that very cousin conspired with the boy I secretly liked to harm me. I was forced to be a scapegoat, bullied by the notorious girls in school for 3 years. Then, my cousin and the boy I liked publicly posted my secret diary online, making me the laughingstock of the entire school. My dad and mom humiliated me, my classmates bullied me, and the boy I liked betrayed me. I stood on the school rooftop in despair. I still remember that summer day. My cousin pretended to comfort me, but her eyes were like daggers piercing my heart. "Sister, if you don't think for yourself, at least think for dad and mom." Thinking of that, images of my parents beating, scolding, and humiliating me reappeared. When I was bullied, they asked why it was only me and not my cousin. Then they concluded, "It must be because you have a problem." When my diary was exposed, they came to school and slapped me in front of my friends, scolding me for being a shameless child. I closed my eyes and without hesitation jumped from the teaching building. In my ears, I heard Summer's sneering laughter. "This fool finally died. Our strategic mission is complete. Her heart has saved someone. We're about to become billionaires." It was then that I understood it was all a conspiracy. If I committed suicide, they would get my heart and return to their world. But in this life, I would not let them succeed. I would make them pay 1,000 times over for my tragic death. I walked with Sean to the birthday party at the front table. I had no friends at school. Being invited by the classmate at the front table was a coincidence. During a test, he forgot his pen, and I lent him one. Afterward, he invited me to his birthday party as a thank you. Initially, I didn't want to go, but he kept inviting me, so I secretly followed. Later, I found out it was a hangman trap, the beginning of 3 years of bullying. Summer had enticed a notorious bully girl in school, whose boyfriend I had unintentionally taken. Summer deliberately wore my uniform and my name tag, making the bully girl think I was the one who stole her boyfriend. She planned this party for revenge. The classmate at the front table kept texting, asking when I would arrive, saying they had started and were just waiting for me. I stood outside the bar. Last time I stood here, I felt something was wrong and almost left. At that moment, the classmate ran down and said, "My brother's bar, it's fine." I walked past the noisy crowd and flashing lights to the second floor. As soon as I entered the VIP room, I saw the most famous bully girl in school, Ruby, waiting. Beside her was a group of delinquent boys, and on the floor, a girl in disheveled clothes cried and begged for forgiveness. "I'm sorry, please forgive me." My seatmate also cried, saying he was forced. "They said if I just tricked you into coming here, they would forgive me." Ruby pointed at the crying girl and said, "That's what happens when you steal my boyfriend." Then she threw a bottle of wine at me. "Drink this whole bottle and I'll let you go." I drank the bottle of wine, but he didn't let me go. Instead, he tore my clothes to take pictures. He used them as evidence to threaten me, forcing me to cheat on exams, forcing me to take the blame for him, forcing me to do bad things, ruining my entire life. In this life, I had come up with an interesting plan. I walked past the bar with my umbrella and turned into the phone booth next to it. I inserted a coin and called the police. "Hello, officers, I'm reporting an incident. There's a fight and group indecency happening at a bar in the south of the city." Just then, someone walked past me and asked, "Summer?" I subtly nodded, half covering my face, and, accidentally, dropped the gold necklace that Summer usually wore. That night when I got home, my dad and mom were sulking and distant from each other. Neither of them bothered to pay attention to me. Summer pretended to be kind and hugged my arm. "Sister, was the classmate's birthday party fun?" I bowed my head, feigning sadness and unresponsiveness from being bullied, and silently walked to my room. I saw a sinister smile on his lips. I closed my room door, also smiling. Tomorrow would be quite a show. The next day at school, as soon as Summer saw Ruby from afar, he happily greeted her, repeatedly calling her Sister Ruby. At school, he was like a social butterfly, fond of networking, showing off, and flattering the bullies. He glanced at me with eyes like someone looking at a toy about to be crushed. He whispered to Ruby that I was dating the school heartthrob, clearly waiting to see me become a joke. Ruby said nothing, just tilted her head and pulled out something shiny from her pocket. It was the gold necklace. She smiled meaningfully. "Summer, is this your necklace?" Summer paused, thinking Ruby had found it and was about to return it. He smiled brightly and held out his hand to take it. "It's mine. I've been looking for it everywhere, so you found it, sister, thank you." As soon as he finished speaking, Ruby slapped him hard across the face, her sharp gaze moving from his face to his dress. She smirked coldly. "Summer, did you think I was easy to trick? The game has just begun and you're the next target." She patted Summer's shoulder and left with her group of followers. Summer's eyes widened, not understanding what was happening. "Sister Ruby, are you not happy today? Did I say something wrong?" He chased after them but was pushed away by Ruby's henchmen. After they all left, he clenched his fists, his eyes no longer flattering, but filled with extreme hatred instead. He felt me watching him and turned, his eyes like a venomous snake. From that day on, Summer became Ruby's new plaything. Rumors spread throughout the school that he had offended the school president's daughter. It was Lily who called the police, reporting Ruby and her friends causing trouble at the bar. When the police arrived, they found a group of delinquent students using stimulants and bullying others, so they were all arrested and taken to the station. Ruby's family was influential. That night, Ruby's dad just made a phone call, and everyone was released. Ruby went home and received a beating, and it was very likely she would seek revenge. None of Summer's former friends dared to speak to him anymore. He was isolated. I saw him during recess. His white dress had red ink splattered on it intentionally by someone. In the restroom, he was pointed at and laughed at. I offered him my uniform jacket, but he didn't appreciate it. Instead, he bit me. He looked at me with hatred. "Why wasn't it you? It should have been you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been bullied." I pretended not to understand. "Summer, what are you talking about?" Just then, he saw Ruby approaching and rushed to pull me. "Sister Ruby, I didn't call the police, it was her. She pretended to be me and called the police." Ruby chewed gum, sizing me up, and said indifferently, "Keep talking, Summer." He continued, "Sister Ruby, you know she likes Kevin, yet she went and seduced him. She knew you'd deal with him, so she called the police to get revenge." Ruby looked up and asked me, "Lily, why didn't you come to the birthday party yesterday? I didn't see you." I calmly replied, "My family had a bit of a situation and I left late. By the time I arrived, the bar was already sealed off. It's normal that you didn't see me." I turned to Summer. "Yesterday, my dad and mom were fighting so much they almost destroyed the house. You knew that, right? I was even going to ask you, you weren't home yesterday. Where did you go? Who knew he was on a date with Kevin yesterday? The one Ruby had warned everyone not to touch." Summer immediately panicked. "Sister Ruby, don't listen to her. She instigated my dad and mom to fight." Ruby's henchmen began to lose patience. I stepped forward and cut him off. "I think Summer is lying to you, sister. Didn't my uncle find out that the person who called the police was named Summer? Moreover, our people clearly saw that the person who called the police was wearing a dress, while Lily always wears pants and never dresses. With witnesses and evidence, the person who called the police was indeed Summer." I added, "I don't like Kevin, and I'm not the one dating him." Ruby thoughtfully glanced at Summer, then snorted coldly and turned to walk into the restroom. Immediately after, Summer was dragged in there by her people. Pleas rang out. Passing students merely bowed their heads. No one dared to help. Even the school heartthrob, Kevin, just clenched his fists and returned to class without saving him. The teacher called the class, and everyone focused on their lessons again. After school, Kevin sought me out, not to apologize but to question me. "Why did you frame Summer?" I looked up at the person I had secretly loved for 3 years. He and Summer had conspired to frame me, and now he had the nerve to come here and blame me? I'm his sister, how could I frame my own sibling? "Classmate Kevin, before you speak, can you use your brain a little?" Kevin gripped my hand, confidently saying, "Because you like me, Lily. You're jealous of your sister." Kevin used to be a perfect image in my heart. Good family background, polite demeanor, always at the top of his class. He was the heartthrob in the eyes of all girls, even the bully Ruby, who grew up with him and didn't allow any girl to approach him. Anyone she caught was met with a tragic end. Summer, on the other hand, relied on being the strategist and loved to go against the flow. He dared to confess to Kevin, dared to secretly date him. When there were rumors of Kevin being intimate with a female student, Summer arranged things so Ruby would think it was me. It's true I used to like him, secretly watching him walk across the schoolyard, watching him confidently carry books past classrooms, writing everything about him in my diary. I thought he didn't know. It wasn't until I died that I realized everything was his doing. Just because Summer and I had similar builds, he suggested Summer steal my diary and give it to others to read so the whole school would know I secretly liked him. They made fun of every word in my diary. Ruby tortured me in various ways, and the school called my parents. My dad and mom slapped me in front of everyone, scolding me for being depraved. We were all just pawns in their game. They controlled everything like a theatrical play. I snapped out of my memories, saying with bitter hatred, "Where do you get the confidence to think I like you? Do you know how awful you are? Go home and tell your aunt she doesn't need to buy cooking oil, you're greasy enough." He was stunned. For the first time in his life, someone who had always lived in praise and fresh flowers heard such a harsh remark. I didn't even bother to glance at him. I picked up my bag and walked past him. He called me back, shouting angrily, "Lily, you'll regret this." No one is allowed to hurt him. He only dared to threaten me, but he wouldn't dare touch his childhood friend, Ruby. Did he truly not know what Ruby was doing? He knows everything, but he likes the feeling of having a woman obsessed with him. I turned back and clapped my hands sarcastically. "Oh, classmate Kevin is so overbearing, isn't he? You like my sister so much, so why didn't you stand up for him today?" Then, word by word, I said, "Because you are a coward, selfish, and unwilling to face it. Accept it, Kevin, you're a terrible person." He retorted in shock, "You're unloved, what do you know? I'm just afraid that if I step in, Ruby will bully him even worse." I laughed coldly. "You know you're the root cause, so why not just die? All problems would be definitively solved." After being taught a lesson by Ruby, Summer absolutely refused to go to school. My dad and mom tried to coax him, asking if he was sick. He slammed the door, pushing them out. "Stop asking. Leave me alone, I might as well die." All the things he was once proud of were gone, and his face, the most important thing to him, was also lost. He didn't want to go to school anymore because he hadn't figured out how to deal with Ruby. My dad and mom, after being rejected, turned to me. They pulled me aside, worriedly asking, "Lily, did something happen to your cousin at school?" In my previous life, when I was bullied and didn't want to go to school, they never asked such questions. I clearly remember them holding a stick as thick as my wrist, hitting me, dragging me by my hair into the street, forcing neighbors to see how rebellious I was for not wanting to go to school, trampling my honor and self-respect into the dirt, delighting in it. I innocently looked at them, shaking my head. I'm not sure, but after school, I often see him with the group of bullies. My dad and mom heard this and realized something was amiss. As if the sky was falling, they frantically paced the room. They were certain that Summer was being bullied, panicking as they rummaged through Summer's dirty clothes and backpack. The more they saw the stains, the more heartbroken they became. After seeing everything, both of them sank heavily onto the chairs. They began to blame themselves for being so preoccupied with suspecting each other of infidelity that they didn't notice their child being bullied at school. My dad blamed my mom. "Our child is being bullied and you know nothing. She even used your damned lotion. If something happens to my child, I'll fight you to the death." My mom retaliated. "How dare you say that to me? Your heart is always with that bastard outside. Have you ever truly cared about Summer? Have you forgotten our purpose?" I pretended to be innocent and asked, "What purpose are you talking about, Dad and Mom?" The two, mid-argument, suddenly realized they had let something slip. Seeing me calmly eating breakfast, not paying attention, they quickly united and blamed me. "Your sibling is being bullied and you didn't help him. Did we raise such a cold-hearted child?" Oh, so they knew what cold-heartedness was. So what about how they treated me before? I mimicked a phrase they often used in my previous life. "Perhaps Summer did something wrong, that's why people hate him. How many students are in this school? Why is he the only one being bullied?" My dad and mom stared at me, then grabbed a broom, intending to hit me. "Are you even human? He's your sibling. Today I'm going to beat a cold-blooded child like you to death, so you can't harm anyone else." I finished my last sip of soy milk, wiped my mouth, calmly snatched the broom, and reminded them with goodwill, "Dad and Mom, if you have so much energy, why don't you go to school and find out what happened? Help Summer get justice. It's not good for him to keep skipping school." My dad and mom were flustered and rushed off to school. They didn't even wait for me to get in the car, driving off ahead. They caused a ruckus at school, shouting for someone named Ruby, asking where she was. The teachers tried to stop them. "This is a school, what are you two doing?" My dad yelled, "My child is being bullied, I'm here to demand justice, so what?" Then he shouted loudly, "Bring that wretched Ruby out here." The teachers asked, "Who are your children? If there's a problem, you should work with the school." My dad and mom pushed the teachers aside. "What do you know? My child is being bullied and no one knew. Do you expect me to trust you? Get out of the way. Ruby, come out here. If you have the guts to do it, have the guts to admit it." Just then, Ruby, surrounded by her henchmen, walked towards the teaching building. In the crowd, someone shouted, "Sister Ruby is here." My dad and mom identified her as the person they were looking for. They lunged and grabbed her, demanding, "Are you the one bullying Summer at school?" The school security reacted quickly and immediately separated them. Ruby had an extremely strong psyche. Even when faced with parents much taller than her, she remained strangely calm. She smirked. "Summer told you too that I bullied him. Where's the proof, sir, ma'am? If you don't have evidence, don't frame me. My family has lawyers I can sue." Her henchman behind her also chimed in. "That's right, where's the proof? We've never seen anyone bully Summer. Or perhaps you two beat your child at home and are blaming us?" Ruby smiled. "If there's nothing, I'll go to class. I'm a diligent student. I don't want to miss even one lesson." My dad and mom were so enraged by these children that they were speechless. They held Ruby tightly, refusing to let her leave, insisting on seeing the surveillance cameras. "Don't get cocky. Once we have the camera footage, I'll make sure you regret it." But Ruby's dad donated money to the school every year. The school administration was all on her side. The school president's daughter announced, "Cameras are only on during exams, they're not on during regular days." She pushed my mom's hand away. Arrogantly, she waved her hand. "Sir, ma'am, please send my regards to Summer. I miss him very much and I will take good care of him in the future. I won't let anyone bully him again." She deliberately emphasized, "take good care," driving my dad and mom insane with anger. My mom pushed the teacher's hand away, lunged forward, grabbed Ruby's hair, and slapped her straight across the face. "You slut! How dare you bully my daughter? I'll kill you!" The administration panicked. Everyone rushed to pull my dad and mom away. Ruby was pushed back a few steps, humiliated in front of so many students. She regained her footing and looked at my mom with malicious eyes. "Ma'am, I will remember this slap." My mom was about to hit her again. The administration, fearing the incident would escalate, both coaxed and threatened, and finally managed to get my dad and mom out of the school. After school, Ruby blocked my path. She licked her back teeth, an arrogant expression on her face. I wasn't afraid. I even took a step closer, leaned into her ear, and whispered a secret. "Using me to provoke my dad and mom is useless. I'm not their biological child. They don't care about me at all." Ruby's pupils constricted. She looked at me in disbelief. I continued, "That's why I want Summer to suffer even more than you do. I have something here that I guarantee you'll like." I placed a USB drive in her hand, telling her to watch it to see what the person she cared about truly thought. That night, a piercing scream echoed from Summer's room. My dad and mom broke down the door and found a phone on the floor. On the phone was an intimate video of Summer and Kevin. It was unclear who had posted it on the school's page. Summer's face was pale. He looked up at my dad and mom, crying and saying, "I don't want to live anymore." My mom trembled all over after watching, but she didn't scold Summer a single word. She hugged him, constantly comforting him. "It's okay, my dear. It's normal for you to be curious about such things at this age. There's nothing to be ashamed of." Then, hugging him, she cursed, "That slut Ruby, it must be her. I'll kill her." My dad also squatted down and hugged them both, swearing to make Ruby regret what she had done. I stood in the dark living room, silently watching everything unfold, finally lowering my eyes. This is how real parents truly treat their children. No matter what mistakes their child makes, the first thing to do is hold them, comfort them, and help them through it. Back then, when they beat me and called me shameless, I never even suspected I wasn't their biological child, just because I ate an extra piece of meat at a relative's house. They came home and beat me almost to death, calling me despicable, asking if I had never eaten meat before, all because of so-called face. They always tried to appear noble by trampling me down. Everything of mine could belong to anyone except myself. How ridiculous. I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. They were willing to push another person's child to death for their own. Did they ever think I was also a child once loved? After coaxing Summer to sleep, my dad and mom whispered in their room, plotting. My mom said, "I must make that slut die." My dad asked, "What about Lily then? Have you forgotten our original purpose?" My mom retorted, "Now that our daughter is being bullied like this, you're still thinking about getting rich?" My dad replied, "If the mission isn't completed, we'll have to return to our old world. All our efforts will be in vain." I narrowed my eyes. It seemed I had understood something. I carried my glass of water back to my room and gently closed the door. I continued to go to school as usual. My dad and mom went out as usual. Summer stayed cooped up at home, not leaving the house. At school, the video of Summer and Kevin spread like wildfire. The school deleted the video all night, but like a virus, the more they deleted, the more it spread. Surprisingly, Kevin still came to school. Students buzzed with gossip, but he acted as if he heard nothing, heading to his seat. There was a wound on his chin. He bowed his head, letting his hair cover it. When his eyes met mine, I turned away. Ruby was furious. She used to think other girls were seducing Kevin, never realizing he was the one taking the initiative. In the video, Summer asked, "Do you think Ruby knows we're having so much fun?" Kevin kissed him. "Don't mention that unlucky name again." Ruby rushed over and slapped him. "You worthless bastard. Do you think you're something special just because I pursued you?" Kevin looked at her with mocking eyes. "Aren't I? I'm worthless." "So what about the great young lady, Ruby? Aren't you cheap? You chased me for so many years, and in the end, I even let someone else have me, but I still didn't choose you." Ruby's face turned beet red. She took a step back, her eyes reddened, then she went mad, grabbing objects and throwing them at Kevin. Finally, the school administration had to intervene to pull her away. To mitigate the impact, the school gave students a week off. Everyone dispersed. Kevin called out to me as I was preparing to leave. "Lily, have you had enough revenge?" I raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Classmate Kevin, I don't understand what you mean." He suddenly said, "If I die, will you let go?" I laughed coldly. "You overestimate yourself. Your life isn't worth anything." Yet he still said confidently, "I know you like me, but no matter what you do, I will never like you. I've read your diary. It's truly disgusting, so nauseating." He had burned it long ago, but what he saw was because Summer had previously stolen my diary and shown it to him. If I hadn't destroyed it earlier, I would have been the one shamed at school today. Last time, he tried to use that very thing to threaten me, but unfortunately, I didn't care. He tried to look at my face to find a trace of anger, but regretfully, I wasn't bothered at all. So what? I just stood there waiting to see what move he would make next, only hearing him grind his teeth and say, "I'll make sure you never have me. I'll commit a sin with the person you hate most to make you furious." Is that all? He intended to hurt himself to make me jealous, to make me suffer? He was truly insane. Why did I ever like such a lunatic? I sighed, "Suit yourself," and turned away. A week later, Ruby was dead. She had been raped and stabbed dozens of times in the alley behind the bar. The police immediately investigated and found that Kevin was missing. My family was also called in to assist with the investigation. My dad and mom warned me not to say anything frivolous. The police asked my dad and mom about their activities last week. I thought for a moment and replied, "I went to school, they went to work, there was nothing unusual." Police further asked, "Do you know the relationship between your cousin and the victim?" I nodded. "My cousin was dating the boy Ruby liked. I heard Ruby threatened to beat him, but I don't know the specifics. I don't usually hang out with classmates. My dad and mom don't allow it." The police nodded and told a female officer to take me home. "If you remember anything, please tell us." I stood up to leave but hesitated, stopping. The police looked at me, encouraging me to speak bravely. I said, "Lately, my dad and mom have been very strange. Since they found out my cousin was bullied, they've been leaving early and coming home late every day. I heard them whispering about scouting the terrain." I continued, "My dad and mom love him more. I don't understand why. When he was little, they said they picked him up to raise him and then treated him like their own child. Since they found out he was bullied, their worry has been remarkably different." The police listened, their expressions growing serious. They thanked me for assisting with the investigation. I bit my lip, hooked my finger, and softly asked, "Officer, could it be my dad and mom?" The officer forced a calming smile. "Don't think too much, just go to school as usual." Half a month later, Kevin was arrested. I saw him again on the news. His beard was scruffy, his clothes disheveled. He looked like he hadn't bathed in days. He confessed very calmly, "Because Ruby bullied my girlfriend." Ruby's death brought a sigh of relief to many students. Summer and I faced the police again. During Kevin's interrogation, the police played a trick. "Tell us the truth, we already know your movements. Who tipped us off? Do you have an accomplice?" Kevin was deeply shaken. "It absolutely couldn't have been Summer," the police verified, and Summer cried. The police comforted him, "Don't be afraid, the culprit has been caught. You can go to school with peace of mind from now on." Summer sobbed. "He said he would take me to hide after killing her. Luckily, I was smart. I used my heart condition as an excuse to go home and escape. Otherwise, I might have been killed too." The police patted him. "Now that he's arrested, no one will dare to threaten you anymore. But if you're ever bullied again, you must immediately find the police, understood?" As they were about to leave, I took out some fruit and pulled out a fruit knife. "I'll peel apples for everyone." The police stared at the knife in my hand. I smiled lightly and introduced, "Oh, this is the special knife we use at home. My dad and mom only use this kind." The police nodded, their hands on the doorknob, preparing to open it when my dad and mom pushed the door open and rushed in. The police immediately shouted, "Arrest them!" The officers outside also acted in unison, forcing my dad and mom to the ground and handcuffing them. Because Kevin only confessed to rape, not to stabbing Ruby to death. Through many rounds of interrogation, he finally realized that Summer had never loved him. It was all just manipulation. He then confessed the whole truth. After the video was exposed, he was beaten by his dad, humiliated by Ruby at school, couldn't stand his girlfriend's crying, and was forced by his parents to apologize to Ruby. Finally, he and Summer conspired to seek revenge using each other's methods. He approached Ruby under the pretense of apologizing and secretly filmed himself raping her, wanting her to suffer the same humiliation Summer had experienced. After he was done, he abandoned Ruby next to a trash can in the alley and fled. When he saw the news of Ruby's death, he thought he had killed her, so he fled in the night. It wasn't until the police tricked him into confessing that he realized it was Summer who had given away his whereabouts. "Summer is heartless, don't blame me for being disloyal," he said. When my dad and mom were arrested, Summer's expression immediately changed. He gasped, his heart condition flaring up. He had thought he had escaped everything. Now he collapsed, crawling towards a bottle of medicine. "Medicine, give me medicine, I need to take my medicine." My dad and mom saw this and went frantic, struggling against the police to save him. "Lily, quickly give your sister her medicine, she'll die. Lily, why don't you die? If you died, everything would be resolved, you slut. You seducer of men, you shameless hussy, just die." Even at this moment, they still used cruel words to incite me to suicide. I looked at Summer coldly, then turned my head to look down the street. Just then, a car sped up and slammed into my dad and mom, sending them flying. More precisely, it was the human traffickers who had kidnapped me to this world. This wasn't my real home was in another world. After the car accident at age 15, I was kidnapped by a system and brought here to endure undeserved suffering. Before, I thought my dad, mom, and Summer were strategic players. It wasn't until I accidentally overheard their conversation that I realized I was a hostage forced here by the system. Only when all three of them were dead could I escape this system and return to my real world. The scene was chaotic. They died right in front of me. Everything finally went according to my plan. Because if they were only arrested, the system's curse wouldn't be broken. I had written an anonymous letter to Ruby's dad about the real killer of his daughter. Although he was strict, he was still her biological father. Outsiders couldn't touch his child. He possessed power both within and outside the law and had planned that car accident. "My fake family, all dead," a mechanical voice echoed. "Mission failed. The hostage held by the system will be returned to the original world." I finally sighed in relief I could go home, but I was still worried that something might go wrong. My consciousness began to blur and my body collapsed. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in a hospital. My real dad and mom rushed over, tears welling up in their eyes. "Our daughter is awake." "You've been asleep for 3 years, your dad and mom couldn't bear it anymore. We missed you so much, our child." These were my true parents. They hugged me, called me their beloved daughter, and embraced all my mistakes. My real parents, I cried and laughed at the same time. "I'm home, Dad and Mom, I love you both so much."